Welcome to the Bernadette Jackson Podcast, where we are redefining how the world views women with daddy issues by discussing topics, sharing stories, and gaining insight, all from the perspective of a fatherless daughter. I'm your host, Bernadette, the creator of Her Way. This episode is brought to you by Daughter Heal, the truth about daddy issues. My free 5-day live experience will help you to discover what you can start doing right now to experience the amazing relationships you deserve. I'll be discussing the difference between what's familiar and what you deserve, the interesting ways fear shows up in relationships, how to get rid of the fear of rejection, my thoughts on Derek Jackson's wife, who is a fatherless daughter, by the way, and we'll end things off with Storytime Live. You do not want to miss this experience. We will go live exclusively in my private community, H.E.R Coalition. Join us by going to bernadettejackson.com/community to sign up. And by the way, you should really bring your girlfriend with you. You're going to want to discuss what we talk about, and I know you're going to want her to hear what you're learning as well. I'll see you inside Her Coalition. Once again, I invite you to join us at bernadettejackson.com/community. Welcome to Storytime, where I highlight the stories of fatherless daughters. I speak to women about how fatherlessness has affected them, but more importantly, how they have been able to get past the pain. Today we have Storytime with Victoria Olean. She is a woman on a mission to help as many women as she can to incorporate self-care into their lives. Self-care is the first crucial step to self-love, and she believes we all deserve to live a fulfilled and happy life. That's why self-care and affirmations are so important to her. She is a mother, a grandmother, an insurance agent, a small business owner, an author, and serial entrepreneur. She advocates for mental health and well-being by encouraging therapy, healthy boundaries, and using affirmations. She believes she will change the world with affirmations. So listen in as we have our discussion. Hi, Victoria. I'm so glad to have you on the podcast. How are you today?
I am doing pretty great, Bernadette. Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So before we jump in, I wanted to ask you a couple of icebreaker questions. I like to ask these questions just so that my audience can get to know you a little better. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. So what are you looking forward to most this year?
I am looking forward to seeing my family more. I didn't get to travel. I traveled once last year and I had to cancel all of my plans. So I'm really, really looking forward to going down south to Louisiana to see my dad's side of the family, and then going back to Washington State to see my mom's side of the family.
Nice.
The travel. I've got to get out.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Did you grow up down south or in Washington State or somewhere else?
I actually was born and raised in Washington State. Yes, a little town right outside of Seattle called Bremerton.
Oh.
And my dad's from New Orleans, so I've got those southern roots. Yeah.
That's cool. How was it living in Washington State? Like, I always hear that it's raining like 9 months out of the year. Is that true?
It is. It rains a lot up there, but you know what? When it's not rainy, it's beautiful. I mean, and then the rain keeps everything beautiful. It's so green. I mean, there is no place like the Pacific Northwest in the country. And so, yes, it does rain a lot. It does look overcast the majority of the year, but for those 3 to 4 months of spring and summer, it is breathtakingly beautiful.
Oh.
Totally worth it. Totally worth the rain. Yeah.
All right. I might have to go it out like in the spring and summer, but only during that time though.
Definitely do yourself that favor, but still bring a rain jacket because it does rain in June.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll put that on my list of places to travel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what would you say is your favorite self-care practice?
Journaling. Journaling is my absolute favorite. Yes, I've been journaling as long as I can remember. I mean, even back to elementary school. But journaling would definitely have to be my favorite. And it's actually proven to be the most beneficial for me also.
Mm-hmm. Why do you say that?
Well, journaling allows me to reflect. It allows me to dump out my feelings and my emotions. Sometimes I don't always, well, number one, there's not always someone that I want to, physically call with an issue. I may want to just put it on paper to get a clearer view of it myself. And so that's why I go to journaling first. Now, there may be times where I have to, pick up the phone, but it allows me to reflect and process my own thoughts and feelings better when I can actually see them and read over them. And it really, really helps me be intentional about what I'm doing with my life. I kind of was like in a dream, if you will, for a huge part of my life, but when I'm intentional about journaling and I look back over the things that I have journaled, it allows me to say, okay, this is where I am, where do I want to be, and how am I going to get there? So journaling is a huge part of self-care for me.
Yeah, I love that. I just started journaling more, I want to say maybe within the last 3 years. And it's only because I became more intentional about like my healing and like what was I really doing and how did I want to feel and, what was the path forward. So it's only then that I started to really get into it. But prior to that, I would like pick it up and put it down like, oh, sometimes I want to journal, sometimes I don't. And I would go long periods without actually writing anything down or really examining my thoughts in that way. So I love that because it does actually give you the opportunity to see like what you've been thinking. Like when it's in your head versus when it's on paper, it's so much clearer for you to see what's really going on and what might actually be bothering you without having to really talk it out with someone else if, there isn't anyone that's, close enough for you to do that. So I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. That's a huge thing. And you know what? I love that you mentioned journaling with intention because I've journaled my entire life, but there was many years where I wasn't really intentional about my journaling. I was just writing because it was like a habit. It was a habit to write in my journal, but I wasn't doing it for any mental health maintenance or any self-care or anything. But yeah, when you get intentional about your journaling and you're writing with a purpose and then you're reflecting over that, what you've written with the purpose, it really does make you feel better and it just puts things into a better perspective.
Yeah, I agree with you. What would you say would be the title of this chapter in your life if somebody was reading your autobiography?
Oh, that's a great question. I like that question. I never thought about it. But you know what? And I apologize now. I do curse a lot. I think the title of this stage in my life would be "Damn That," because that's where I am right now. Every negative thought that I've ever had, or someone's ever a negative word, damn that. Like literally any procrastination, damn that, I don't have time for it. It's like everything that was a part of the old me, damn that, I don't have time for that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like all of the old stuff has just been falling off and everything negative, I'm just saying, damn that. No, that is not the truth. And this is what it really is. So,
yeah, I love that. I love that. I feel like sometimes we really just need to, speak to ourselves in that way, like just pull our own selves together, we gotta look ourselves in the mirror like, listen, sis, you need to level up because this isn't it. We're not doing this today. I'm not accepting this. We're not going back. I love that. So yeah,
hello.
I'm with it.
Yeah. And it works. It really does work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Definitely. So when would you say that you realized that you were a fatherless daughter? Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. I want to say 30, like 32 or so. It was my early 30s. And I realized it when I was walking away from my marriage. It was right around the same time I had made the decision to leave this toxic, abusive, horrible marriage that I had gotten myself into. And in the moment of, they say hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
In the moment of looking back over my life and my relationship with not only my ex-husband, but all of the men I really started paying more attention to, like, I started reflecting on the conversations my father and I had, all of the ones back to where I could remember. Not just the conversations, but the interactions and the engagement that we had, the way we, and I realized I've never had a father figure. Never. And like I said, I was well into my 30s. I had children at this point. I had already had a husband. And it was like a shocker when I was just like, damn, I have never had a father figure ever.
Hey.
Yeah, it was a shock.
Yeah, I imagine that would have been, because it's like, your father is in the home and you see him all the time and you don't consider yourself a fatherless daughter because he's there. But then when you think about like the quality of the interactions, it's like, wow. Like, I didn't even realize how this impacted me until now. And it's crazy. Wow.
That's exactly the truth. That's exactly what it was. It was like he was there, physically present, but he was not a father figure. He was not a protector, a provider, a confidant, a friend. Like, he just was not emotionally there as a father at all.
Yeah. And it's like, honestly, like, when those things happen, it just makes you understand how important fathers are, like, just in the way in which that they're supposed to usher us into like relationships in the future with other people. Like, they really are the first teachers that we have on how we expect to be treated by others and how we are supposed to be interacting with men. And so like, when we don't get that and we're just left to our own devices and just trying to figure it out, like, we make so many mistakes and we don't notice that the things that we're in aren't right. It's like, it causes so much. So yeah, for you to really get that at 32, like on the tail end of your marriage, it's like, it kind of even makes it more hurtful, because it's like, now not only do you have to think about the marriage ending, but now you have to also reconcile that what you thought was a different type of relationship with your dad really wasn't. And, like, just not getting what you needed there kind of caused the trajectory of how things went. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it was devastating, Bernadette. Yeah. I mean, it really was, because I'm not going to say that I blame my father, because at this point I'm an adult and, the feeling is on me. But I really feel like that the lack of having a father can set you up for failure. It really can. It can set you, and it did. It set me off on a path of failed relationships, failed self-respect, a failed lack of confidence, not failure in life, but just failure in positive attributes, positive characteristics that I needed. And I didn't realize how manipulative my father was, how controlling, how, because he knew my desperation for a relationship with him, he knew that I so desperately wanted a relationship, he would even feed on that and play on that. And not from a place of love, but from a place of, because I know you want it, I can manipulate you and get you to do what I want. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And in reflecting, I realized a lot of my relationships went the same way. It was like I was constantly going above and beyond to try to get this approval or this pat on the back or praise or something. And it was like, I needed that from my dad. I didn't get it. And so I was searching for it in everybody else, It was devastating because my marriage was ending, and for probably a good 6-7 months, I mean, I spent a lot of time just looking at the relationship with my husband and kind of comparing it to the relationship with my father. And it went from being devastating, Bernadette, to being enlightening. It was like, wow, now that I know this is the issue, now I can heal. Because mind you, I had no idea what the issue was until I was in my 30s. I could not pinpoint it. So it was like, finally I can put a label on it and I can begin to heal.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I feel like sometimes the experience that we have, like, although negative in the beginning, can really be like the beginning of like the best times of our lives, because it really does give us the opportunity now to face ourselves in a way that we didn't before, like to get curious about who we are, like what our values are, why do I do the things that I do, and really just like getting clear about like, okay, now what do I want, you know, like now that I've experienced this, now that I understand who I am, and you know, like why I have shown up this way, what do I want to do differently? So with that, like, what would you say was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back, or the situation that happened where you decided, you know what, enough is enough, and I don't want my father-in-laws to continue to affect my relationships? When was that for you?
You know what? It wasn't even one of my relationships. It was the relationship between my twin daughters and their father. Yeah. They also are fatherless daughters. And they're 17 now, but it was, they were 14, and he had come up to Washington, D.C. to spend a week with them. And you know, I had seen them interact as they were younger, but now they're 14. They're young ladies. They're, you know, puberty. So they're a little different, but he hadn't seen them at that stage. So watching them interact and then having a conversation with my daughters after the fact, and them telling me that they don't feel like he's their father. They don't feel like that. That's when it hit me, Bernadette. I said, now here I am reflecting over my own fatherless situation. And my daughters are in the same situation. They have a father present, but he is emotionally unavailable. So they are fatherless daughters. And that's what made me say, you know what? Enough is enough. Now it's carrying over to the next generation. And, you know, my daughter has a daughter. That's now another generation. And so I said to myself, it has to be now. It can't be anybody else. It can't be tomorrow. It has to be now for the sake of my children and my children's children.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, shit, enough is enough.
Right.
Time to heal and do something better.
Right. Yeah. I imagine you were like, damn that, you know, like, we're not doing this.
Exactly. I said, oh, damn that. We can't all be, because I really didn't want my daughters to be adults suffering the same way I did. I knew that if we can get a hold of it now and start building them up now and giving them the tools and the coping skills now, they won't be, you know, they won't be in their 20s like I was and not know why. You know, they'll have they'll have something to work with, you know?
Yeah.
So you're right. I said, damn that, it starts today.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, honestly, like, I just want to applaud you, because it takes so much intentionality to really understand that your children are following in the same footsteps as you, and then deciding that, you know what, I'm about to like change their whole path right now, because I'm going to give them the tools that they need, that I didn't have, that I didn't even know I needed, so that they can have a new path forward and start to respond to these things differently. So with that, like, what was the first thing that you did when you realized that they were going down the same path and they were fatherless daughters as well?
I got them into therapy. I knew that I couldn't do it myself because I'm still in therapy. I'm still healing from a life, you know. So the first thing I did was get them into individual therapy. I knew they had some things that they needed to talk through and process. And, you know, as open as our relationship may be and as close as we are, there are some things that your teenage daughters just aren't going to tell you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I mean, I wanted to be the cool mom that they told everything, but that's just not life.
Right.
So I got them into therapy.
Oh, that is so good. I love that. You know, I feel like I have that fantasy too, where I kind of want to be the mom that my daughter can come and tell me anything, but I don't know if I have the capacity. I think I got to be real myself. I don't know if I can. I don't know.
I know. I thought I did too, Bernadette, but I'll tell you right now, it was the sex talk. I thought I had prepared myself for it, you know, and you teach your kids on, you know, age appropriate levels. I thought I was ready, Bernadette. I thought I was ready, but boy, when they came, I almost passed out. I mean, I was just like, it's happening already. Oh my God. Okay, pause. I'm not that mom. I'm sorry. Right. Sorry, not sorry. You're right. I can't imagine my baby girls, and so it's like, there's some things I just, no.
Yeah, I definitely get that. The one thing that I've mastered though, which I pat myself on the back for this, is that I have mastered like this poker face. So whenever my daughter comes to me with stuff, even though in the inside I'm freaking out, like when I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about that. What do you mean? But on the inside I'm like, Jesus, help me, give me the words, please, Father,
Yes. Oh my gosh. Especially with girls, you just never know. Yes. They're so unpredictable.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
You don't know when they're gonna come with what, and it's just like, oh boy.
That's why you gotta just be prayed up, like you said. Just be prayed up and ready.
Definitely. What's one thing that you would tell your younger self now that you've gone through some healing and that you're in therapy?
I would tell myself that you are enough. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Because from an early age, it came from so many different people that there was something wrong, whether it was, my interests not being the same interest as other kids, or, whatever it is, it was always something about me that should have been different. And I didn't learn to accept myself because of that for a very long time. So I would tell myself that you, just the way you are enough.
Period. Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
Full stop.
And damn that, what anybody else says.
Exactly. Exactly. So father loss is a trauma that really affects us relationally. And every time it's one that we're not equipped for, because it typically happens when we're too young to really understand like what those emotions are and how to deal with them. So a lot of the healing that ends up happening as a result of that is going to happen relationally. So can you say that now in this season that you've had relationships where you have experienced some healing through, like as a result of like you on your healing journey now? Or
absolutely.
Is that something you're looking forward to?
So I'm not currently dating, but because the healing process has been ongoing in the beginning to now, definitely a difference. And I can tell you the main thing is that I exercise my boundaries, period. Yeah. I don't make exceptions or excuses for them. It used to be, this is what I like, but then I would make excuses if someone violated that boundary. I would be so passive aggressive, it would end up hurting me in the end. But now I'm so sure of myself. It's like, this is what I deserve. And if you come short, there's no love lost. I have no hard feelings towards you. We just can't occupy the same space. You go ahead on with your life over there, and I'm going to continue on with mine over here. But I definitely have more boundaries, and the quality of men that I am approached by has also changed. And I have no problem not being attracted to everybody that's attracted to me. I don't know why that was a thing in the past. It was like, if you liked me, okay, I like you too. But now it's like, okay, you like me, thank you. I'm cute, yes, thank you. But I don't have to give you my phone number. I don't have to, engage with you just because you think I'm cute.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely an ongoing change, but I can totally see the difference in just the interactions with the guys that I meet.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of the things that I tell my clients that they have to look forward to. Like when we're working together, a lot of times we will internalize the end of relationships or somebody not liking us or somebody not being able to meet our expectation as there being something wrong with us. And, a part of going through the healing journey is just realizing that everyone does not have the capacity to meet your needs, or they don't want to live up to the boundary or the expectations that you set. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. They're just not for you. And when we can start to just have goodbyes that are soft, and they don't have to be like volatile, and they don't have to be like petty and violent. And we can just say, you know what, like, I really enjoyed our interaction, but I realize that this is probably where it's going to stop, because I'm looking for this and you're looking for something else. And it's okay. Like when we can just like gently say goodbye to people because they just aren't our people, it just makes it so much more enjoyable for us to really have like interactions without thinking that everyone has to be our husband, or everyone has to like us or love us, or what's wrong with me if it doesn't work out. So it kind of just like frees you to just be authentic in interactions with people. And so I love that, you said that, because it really kind of just it just opens you up to all the possibilities. Sometimes people can be great friends. They're not meant to be your husband. They're not meant to be anything else, but you guys had a great interaction, and that can be it. And that's it, So
yeah,
I love that.
Absolutely. It's so funny you say that, because I met a guy a couple months ago, and it was really funny. I had a good laugh about this with myself after the fact. Just at the growth, I met this guy, and immediately we start asking each other, well, what are you looking for? You approached me, so what are your intentions? I don't waste time. I am of a particular age with children and a grandchild. I don't waste time. Okay. So this guy says, I'm not looking for a relationship. Relationships take too much work. I'm looking for, something casual, maybe friends with benefits. Are you interested? I said, no, not at all. Absolutely not. That's just not my cup of tea. If that's where you are, that's fine. But this is where we part ways.
Right.
Now, he proceeded to try to tell me, or convince me rather, of why I should go with the flow, and why I should be just open-minded. And, what do you say? Life is unexpected. You can't plan for everything. And it was so funny, because Bernadette, the old me, would have fallen for that. I would have been like, you know what? You're right. You're so right, guy.
Let me tell you, as you was telling this story, I was like, you know what? The old me would have did that. The old me would have been like, you know what? Let me just go with this for a little while, and I know I could change his mind because I'm that girl. Like, I promise you, I had the same thought. Like, you know what?
Isn't that crazy?
Change your mind.
Isn't that crazy how we do that? And then in the end, I would be hurt when this person wouldn't change their mind. Right. It was like, they told you from the beginning.
Exactly.
You did not want a relationship. So why are you now hurt? And so now I was just like, no, you're absolutely right. Life is very unpredictable. And I do go with the flow, but I'm not flowing this way. Period. Like, I'm not flowing with the casual sex, friends with benefits.
Right.
At almost 40 years old. I'm just not into that, Yeah. And it felt so good. I literally laughed out loud, Bernadette. I said, wow, that never would have happened.
Exactly.
4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's really a beautiful feeling to be healing. And my healing journey is lifelong. I mean, I truly believe that. But just to see and feel the growth, it's beautiful.
Oh, definitely.
It really is.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially when you can recognize it, and when it's like, things have happened that you would have responded to differently, and you don't even feel compelled to respond the way you used to. It's just like, you just flow into this new response like so easily and so effortlessly. And it feels like peaceful,
Right.
So absolutely. I love that. And it's like, I'm glad that you said that, because that just brings me into like my next question. A lot of my clients will have these fear-based responses around things. And one of them is exactly what you expressed, that, you want a particular thing. The person who's interested in you doesn't want that. And so, okay, you start to launch into a response to kind of prove your worth, to make them want the same thing that you do. So do you recognize that there are some things that you used to do that you don't do anymore, that that you can attribute to just not having the relationship with your dad? Like, what would some of your fear-based responses be, or what were they before?
Oh gosh, I had a lot. One of them would be, I would try to pretend to be emotionally unavailable. I would try to pretend to be so hard, like I didn't care and I wasn't so interested or all on you. Knowing doggone well that was not the truth, Bernadette. I would fall so easy.
Yeah.
Like, I was that one. I was just 2 dates and I'm in love. I'm planning our wedding. I'm picking out colors for our house, right? Mm-hmm. So that was a really toxic trait. Another one was control. Mm-hmm. I was controlling in such a toxic way. I didn't even realize it at first because, I mean, everything from a smell to the way you would eat to, I mean, the way you would respond to something, the way you would ask. I was a control freak. And it was because I felt like that made me feel safe. Yeah. If I was in control and knew exactly what was going to happen, then I had this false sense of safety. And I say false because life is so unpredictable. There's no way I could plan for everything. But that was the control freak. And it caused me to lose what I feel could have been some good relationships with females and men, and even in family, because I was a control freak. Another one I had was there was no room for a disagreement. Like, we have to agree on everything. And if we disagree, it caused so much fear and anxiety in me. It was like, you could not be mad at me. I immediately went into, what do I need to do? What do I need to say? What did I do wrong? Fix. What's wrong with me? You know what I mean? It was like, I just had no room for someone to be mad at me, because if they were, they would possibly leave. Yeah. They would never want to deal with me again, So I did not, the concept agree to disagree, that was non-existent for me. Yeah. And so anytime there was a conflict, to protect myself, I would just end the friendship, end the relationship, run away, cut people off. And it wasn't just in, romantic relationships. It was with female friends too, with colleagues too. It was like, if you do one thing that I don't like, I'm cutting you off. Yeah. But then I had this unrealistic expectation that everyone should be so accepting of all my faults. Yes. And I didn't realize how backwards that was, Bernadette. It was like, I want everyone to be extremely patient with me, work with me, deal with me while I heal. But you have to be perfect or we got problems. That's it. Yeah. I mean, it was, and like I said, it caused me to lose a lot of relationships. But now, on the flip side of that, I realize there are almost 8 billion people on this planet. If me and one don't get along, it is not the end of the world. Yeah. There's 7-point-something billion more people to engage with. And one of those are my person. I am one of those people's person. So I don't worry about disagreeing. I actually welcome it now because I like the different perspective. Yeah. And then it also allows me to walk in my healing. Yeah. So, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. How much time do we have?
But honestly, like, even just the ones that you mentioned are so good. Like, they are classic fatherless daughter trigger points. Classic. Just the breaking up with somebody or leaving somebody before they leave you in conflict, like that's so classic. And the control, and it really just stems from not like being able to control the situation with your dad growing up. And so now everything else around you needs to be like underneath your control. Otherwise, how are you're not going to have the safety. It's exactly the thing that you said. And I feel like the one thing that fatherless daughters want above all is just like the safety and knowing that they can come to a relationship 100% themselves and the person who they're in relationship with isn't going anywhere. Like, that level of safety is one that if we can create that in all of our relationships, that's really where like we would feel like we were in heaven. So it just makes total sense to me that you would say that. What would you say your relationship is like now with your dad? Is he still alive?
He is still alive, but it is non-existent. I cut that off a little over a year ago. And it feels good. I tried for so many years to have a relationship with my father. I made excuses. I allowed him to hurt me, manipulate me, use me, take advantage of me. And it was all because I thought that I needed a relationship with him because I was my dad. But once I realized that he just is who he is, and for someone to be a particular way but not ever want to do any sort of growth or healing or reflection on how you could possibly be better, it's so toxic. I have to protect my own peace. Yeah. And that means I don't engage with him anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely.
And it's crazy how much peace I have in my life now.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize that he was the cause of so much turmoil as a domino effect, something that he would say or do, I would internalize, and then it would, it was a domino effect. I didn't realize that, but I mean, like I said, I had to protect my peace, and so I cut him off.
I'm glad that you did what you had to do and that you have peace around it, because really at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is that you feel that this was the right decision for you and you don't feel like you're missing anything by not having that relationship. So I think that that's commendable, honestly, for you to reach that level of clarity now, because now you can, go forward with therapy, with healing, with, new relationships without having this atmosphere with him that could end up just pushing you back to a place that you don't want to be in anymore. So
that's exactly what it was doing. Mm-hmm. That's what it was doing, Bernadette. By keeping him in my life and being in therapy, with him not changing the behavior, it was like progress, digress. Take 2 steps forward, 5 back. And it was like, I'm not going to heal if I'm constantly being pulled back by the same. It wasn't like it was a million different people or a million different
right.
People. It was the same person with the same toxic traits,
Yeah.
And it was like, is it really worth having a relationship just because he's my dad? So what? That's a title. You know what I mean? I had no choice in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But is it really worth, putting a procrastination, really, if you will? Is it really worth putting my healing on hold just to have a relationship with him?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. Damn that.
Exactly. Like, honestly, like, sometimes we have to understand that letting relationships go and letting people go is actually a part of our routine of resistance. And, I spoke about that last week in terms of, like, there has to be things that you have in place that is going to prevent you from going back to the old version of yourself that you've worked so hard to move from. And if it is that you have to end relationships, then that's what it has to be. That's just what it has to be.
Absolutely.
So, how would you say that your lived experiences have influenced what you do now in terms of maybe your line of work, how you parent, or in any other way?
Oh, in every way. Because I aim to not be my father. I aim, like, when I take my therapy sessions, and when and I'm also doing parenting classes for teenagers, I'm really intentional about not doing the things my father did. For instance, I heard my entire childhood, you don't got no wants. You don't have nothing to say. You don't got no wants. You know what I mean? And so subconsciously, I internalized that. I didn't have any wants. What I wanted did not matter. I didn't even need to voice my opinion. So I'm very intentional about allowing my children to speak up for themselves, to advocate for themselves. I make it very plain that at the end of the day, I may or may not change my mind, but their voice and their opinion definitely matters. Because I never want them to feel like we have to agree on everything. It's just not life. And I feel like I'd be setting them up for failure. So I make sure that they feel they can safely voice their feelings and opinions. I'm also very intentional about making sure my children take time for self-care and making sure my children are in therapy. Because I'm a fatherless daughter, and now my daughters are also, and then also because I was in a domestic violence marriage for a decade, my daughters and my sons also lived through that.
Yeah. So
not only the fatherless daughter aspect, but the domestic violence aspect. Yeah. So we're very intentional. Like I encourage them to journal. I'm very intentional about their self-care also.
Right.
And it stems from my own father loss.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that honestly, I feel like it's so important, just helping them to understand that their voice is important, that having autonomy over what they want to do, like their body and their values, their views, like that's really important. And I'm so happy that you were able to see that the way that you were parented was not the way that you wanted to parent your kids, and you were able to, like, you know, make that shift. So that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
I know that they're going to thank you. Yeah, it's hard. Trust me, I know. It's super hard because it's like your knee-jerk reaction is to be like, you know what? Like, go sit down. Like, this is just what I said. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then you got to think about, you know, they're people too. Like, they're my children, but they are people too. And if I'm going to equip them to be, like, you know, responsible adults who understand how to voice their feelings and, you know, prioritize their needs and desires, I'm going to have to teach them that here. So It's like,
I love that word, equip. That's exactly what I tell them. My job is just to equip you for life. I'm not I'm not supposed to be responsible for you forever. My job is simply to equip you to be a positive, contributing member of society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you always have my support, but I do want to make sure that you can get out there and learn how to do some things on your own. So yeah, that's it.
I don't want you calling mama for everything. I don't want them to. I really want them to feel self-sufficient, you know?
Right.
And it's not for my own selfish reasons, although that is some of it too, because I do want to travel even more. But it's because I really want them to feel that sense of confidence when they're adult. Like, I can figure it out. I may not know, but I can figure it out.
Yeah. And you definitely want them. That empowerment.
At home.
Absolutely. Definitely. So at the end of my interviews, I like to do what I call Bernadette's Quick Five, and it's just where I ask you 5 questions. It's usually the last 5 minutes of the podcast, and you can just answer with the first thing that pops into your head. You ready?
Okay, ready.
What's one thing that you think people get wrong about fatherless daughters?
Every relationship, we're looking for a daddy figure.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want you to be my daddy.
Yeah.
Hate that stigma. Totally hate it.
Me too. What is one thing that you believe that you're better at because you're a fatherless daughter?
Advocating for myself, sticking up for myself, just speaking up when I need to, and not feeling bad about it. I think that's, yeah. Yep, sticking up for myself and not feeling bad about it.
Love that. What is one book that you've read that really improved your relationships with others?
Ooh, it's one I actually just finished. I'm going to reread it by Lovey. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But it's called I'm Judging You.
Ooh.
Honey, if you have not read that book, I mean, it's one of those laugh out loud, make your stomach hurt, humorous books, but also put you in check and have you looking at yourself. Like, you thought journaling was self-reflecting. Lovey and Jaya will get you to self-reflecting. Okay, she really will. Yeah, so definitely that one, I'm Judging You, totally changed the game.
Okay. I just bought the new book, The Fear Fighter Manual, and I heard that I'm Judging You was kind of like the prequel to that, so maybe I need to get that one and read that one first. So yeah, I'm gonna put that on my list.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay. What would you like to be known or remembered for?
I would like to be known for encouraging women to live unapologetically. Because that's my goal right now. Just encourage more women to embrace all of who they are, whether somebody likes it or not, whether they like it or not. Embrace it. Embrace all of who you are and live full unapologetically. That's what I want to be known for.
I love that. And the last one is the fill in the blank. So it is, my name is blank and my father loss does not define me because.
My name is Victoria, and my father loss does not define me because I do. I define me. My character, my actions, what I do now defines who I am, not any of the experiences that I've gone through.
I love that. I'd love that. Thank you so much, Victoria, for joining me today on the podcast. It was a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, this was awesome, Bernadette. Thank you so, so much for doing this. I absolutely love your platform. I'm so glad that we connected. I don't even know how, but thank God for it. I truly, truly am just grateful. Yeah, this was fun. Thanks a lot.
It was. Thank you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Self-Care Strategist. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn at Victoria Olean. That's Olean.
Awesome. All right. I love it. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And I will definitely be talking to you soon.
Okay. Have a great one, Bernadette.
You too. Bye.
So that was my interview with Victoria. I want to apologize because we're in the city, there are so many melodious sounds, aka the ice cream truck that you may hear in the background. There is nothing that I could possibly have done about it, but you know what? It adds character to this episode. So I hope that you enjoyed this interview. Again, my guest today was Victoria Olean, and you can find her on Instagram at _the self-care strategist. That's _ the self-care strategist, where she is dishing out affirmations and helping you to get your self-care life in check. I really enjoyed this episode, and I hope you did too. And you can let me know in the DMs or on the post that I'm going to be posting on IG what your favorite part of this interview was. And as always, you deserve amazing relationships, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.